Hello, everyone. Robin Sachs and Lindsay House, two coaches on a mission. And all throughout this year, we have been joining your LinkedIn stream every couple of weeks to talk about what we're calling the ABCs of 2022 success for you. And we're simply stepping through the alphabet letter by letter. And each time we meet, we grab the next letter, which today happens to be you, and the letter U, not you, Lindsay. And yeah, and we pick a handful of words that start with that letter that are imperative, or maybe I should say helpful in your journey to success.
Mhm.
How you doing,
Mhm.
Lindsay?
I'm good. How are you, Robin?
Good, good. All right, so you, and I just realized I forgot to silence my phone, so I'm going to do that. I am going to actually start by throwing this open to you, actually. You, we're going to say you a million times.
It's going to be one of those. Yes.
Yes, that you doesn't start with you, which is very, but we have a great why. You are
Yes.
your biggest, okay.
I like it. And we can even use you as, people use you all the time.
Very true, very
Yes.
true. All right, so, something we hear in business all the time happens to be a great you, and I think it's a neat place to start, right? Under promise and over deliver.
Mhm. Yes, I love this phrase for so many different reasons. I feel like it helps in life in general. I'm traveling back to Ohio. I'm now in Arkansas for Thanksgiving to like visit friends, family, and I'm doing a lot of under promising and hopefully over delivering. Just so people's expectations of when we show up at places, like if you tell somebody 11, you don't want to show up at noon. And this, I'm giving this example to start with a smile and then shift it right over into nutrition and fitness. Robin and I talk a lot about how small changes make a big difference. And this actually really fits with under promising and over delivering. Because if we set goals in this kind of mentality, if we go, I'm going to aim for 2 times, if I never work out, and I'm going to say I'm going to do 2 times this week, we're allowed to over deliver on that promise to ourselves. We're allowed to like rock it out and do 4 if we want. But when we under promise, that 2 normally sets us up for a lot of success. We can at least say, check mark, yay, I did it. We become proud of our journey at that point versus over promising, under delivering really sets us up for a lot of like self-criticism. And that's where a lot of that negative self-talk comes in. Like, I'm so lazy. I can't do this. I'm failing again. So, and then same thinking with food, if we're really trying hard to get out of eating out as often or playing in the kitchen more, eating more fruits and vegetables. If you eat pretty much 0 purposeful fruits and vegetables in your day, tell yourself you're going to aim for 1 of each day. And then if you eat a whole big salad and you knock out 4, great. I don't know why. I think I keep feeling like the need to emphasize we're allowed to over deliver for ourselves. It's almost like people feel like if they under promise that they're not going to fight and excel for like their best selves. And that doesn't mean that. It just means that we get to enjoy a win, enjoy a check mark. What do you think, Robin? Where's your head going? And you can go business or you can go a whole different direction with this.
Yeah, I love where you're going with this, Lindsay. And again, as somebody who works with people with their confidence and their self-talk, and how do you build those things up? How do you get your confidence up and your stress down?
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
the number one way to do that is stop trying so hard.
Yeah.
Because what we do is we truly as humans want to jump in and do it. And to your point, we set ourselves up sometimes for failure because you're not going to be able to go from 0 to 60 if you're just doing something new or starting a change. And you're allowed to say, I'm going to go from 0 to 10 this week. That's amazing. If you end up at 10, which is actually quite simple, going from 0 to 60 is hard. Going from 0 to 10 is so doable and simple. And if you end up doing 15 or 20 or 30 or 60, that's great. The expectation is do that much and do it consistently. Because what happens is, and this is why as humans we trip so often and fall and we don't get back up. This is why New Year's resolutions fail so often. We try and go from 0 to 60. Instead of going, I'm going to start doing this one thing every day and I'm going to check it off. Like you said, for the next month, I'm just going to check that one thing off. I'm going to eat a freaking piece of broccoli every day for the next 30 days. That's it, right? Are some days you're going to eat more? Possibly, but you will never eat less. And in 30 days, you will be in a better place, a healthier place, a fitter place, whatever it is you're looking for. Same thing with any aspect of your life, right? In business, right? My goodness, you don't have to jump in and buy the software and build a huge course and all of a sudden do a bunch of lives and do all kind. You don't have to do all of that. You know what? This month, start posting. Pick a platform and post something of value every day for the next 30 days. You will be amazed how you start to get engagement. You start to have people click on it or like it or comment. Little tiny things done consistently are what get you everything you want. And so start to under promise to yourself, because the idea is you'll never do nothing. And anytime you do something instead of nothing, that's a win. So it doesn't have to be huge, right? On the football field, I don't have to go 100 yards. I have to go 10 yards at a time. And I have 4 tries to do that. If I have a 25% success rate going 10 yards, and I do that consistently, I score every time I have the ball. But if you're looking at it going, I have to go 100 yards and there's a bunch of people in front of me trying to stop me, you're not going to make it. So it's that little mental shift.
Oh, that was such a good visual. Yeah. I haven't heard you talk about that one. I like it.
Nice. Yeah. Small is amazing if you always do it. Do something instead of nothing. So under promise to yourself and you will always over deliver. That's the secret. We're often doing it backwards.
You're right. I'm loving this. Crazy. We can drop the mic. We can walk away. So good. Let's do just a fun, quick one for a second, because you're making me think this right now. Upbeat. Like whenever I'm with you, I feel a little more upbeat. I feel
upbeat. We've talked so often, Lindsay, right? With us as coaches with our clients individually in talks that we do, right? Your accountability challenge, all of those things. And on this LinkedIn Live that we keep doing, we talk about attitude and positive attitude. And it's not about being Pollyanna and always wearing the rose-colored glasses. That's as unrealistic as the opposite of that, which is always being pessimistic and saying everything's bad and going wrong. Neither of those is ever true. So the answer lies in the middle there. But you do, without question, have a better chance at a positive outcome, no matter what you're trying to do, if you remain upbeat about it. Yes, stuff can go wrong, but don't ever forget to remind yourself, what's going okay? What's fine? What can we do about something? Stay upbeat, and your mind will be in a place that serves you for what you're trying to do instead of constantly gets in your way and pulls you back.
Yep. Agreed. See, it's just a quick little.
Yeah. Again, simple opportunity. Make a choice in your head. I'm going to be upbeat or I'm going to beat myself up. It's one of the
Yes.
Right?
It is, in fact, a choice to some degree. Yes.
Yes. You know what? I'm going to throw one back at you. I love the idea. You brought something up about underutilized tools. Talk a little bit about that, Lindsay.
Yeah, I feel like we're all so guilty of this. And sometimes when I think about underutilized tools, I think that we feel like they're not doing that much or doesn't matter. And so I have 3 that like really came to my mind. One was habit trackers. Robin and I talk about habit trackers all the time. It's a tool, and it's as easy as there's print offs that you can do. There's wall signs, or there's like, you can keep just a running list of, if you know the 4 things you want to make sure that happen in your day, you're just ticking it off. You're just putting a check mark beside it. And it's just that like constant insight building of, I'm sticking to what I'm setting out to do in that day. So I kind of feel like if somebody could just pull in a habit tracker, if they've never tried one before, it's an underutilized tool that you might go, this really works for me. I like this. And then another one is movement trackers. For most people to be aware of our daily movement does what it's supposed to. It does this whole like, I've only moved 2,000 steps. Maybe I'll do a little bit more. There are some people who this doesn't work well. It engulfs your brain and it almost becomes like a disorder because you have to hit a certain number of steps in the day. So I'm not talking to like extremes on either side. This is just like generality. For most of us, we do pretty well if we have insight around our movement in the day. It's kind of like food logging. If we log, we're a little more apt to be like, do I want that bite? Do I not want it? And then just shifting of expectations. I know that Robin and I have talked about this as well, but we forget when we're setting out on a health journey to make sure that our expectations aren't too far away from our reality. And that would be like my homework assignment for everyone. If your expectations for your day are way far away from your reality is you need to take care of your parents and your kids because everyone needs you in that day, and you're working a full-time job and you're saying, I'm going to crush an hour and a half long workout. Is your reality over here and your expectation over here? What if you say, I'm going to grab 20 minutes and walk at lunch? All of a sudden we're like, whoop, now it's doable. So those are my three tidbits for today. Shifting of expectations, trying a habit tracker, movement tracker, just really that insight building around our life. We don't always give credit to it, and it can be a game changer. Do you have anything, Robin?
Love that. And I just want to circle around to something we said earlier and apply it to this if it's helpful. And I'll give you an example, right? Let's say you want to start moving and you do the old, I'm going to set my watch at 10,000 steps. So I make sure I do that because that's a number that somebody pulled out of wherever. And that's just a number that we all think of now. And so one of the greatest things to do, let's go back to that under promise and over deliver. One of the first things I do when I get, because I track my movement in a lot of different ways in my activity daily. One of the first things I did was went into the app for my watch and change it from 10,000 to 8,000.
Smart.
You know why? Because more often than not, I get 10,000 steps in. But guess what? There are a lot of days I don't. But guess what? I get 8,000. And you know what happens at 8,000? The watch explodes and buzzes and cool things come on the screen going, you go, girl. Congratulations. Great job. You hit your goal.
Yeah.
And guess what? Those are the little wins that you can literally build into your life, because I'm going to do 10,000 most days or more often than not. But I only have to do 8,000 to have that little voice come in and go, you did it. Way to go. And guess what that does for us? That builds us up. It builds our confidence. It builds when we look at the week. It's like, oh my goodness, I hit my goal 6 out of 7 days. Way to go. Look for those little wins and don't be afraid to adjust things a little bit. It's not cheating. It's really smart from a confidence building standpoint.
Yeah.
Because chances are you're going to do more anyway, but you will always be able to hit the thing that you set up.
Yeah.
So just way to kind of look at that stuff. It's interesting when you hold yourself to doing less, you often do more than you would have had you set yourself up to do more in the first place. It's
brain games. It is such a brain game.
Yeah. But it works. So play that game. I'm not big on playing games in your head. This is a great game to play.
Agreed.
It works wonders.
I totally agree. You know what I want to make sure we have time for? I want to throw understanding your direction. I think we can have a really great talk around this.
Wow. Understanding. I go 2 places with understanding. One, understanding others and situations and things outside of me. And then 2, understanding things inside of me. And I think, the more self-awareness we gain, whether that's through a coach or a friend or someone outside of us, right? Or a counselor of some kind, it often takes someone outside of us to help us understand sometimes what's going on inside of us. And then it gives us the ability to make some choices and take control of that and do different things that we want to do with that. So, I highly encourage people, whether it is a coach, a counselor of some kind, a friend who's going to be totally direct and honest with you. Help me identify what's happening inside of me and why. Because when
Mhm.
you get that awareness, you are in a powerful place because now you can do things. You can make choices, you can make different decisions, you can stay the same, you can change. Amazing thing happens with that awareness, but you've got to understand why things are going on for you because there's
Mhm.
always a reason we're behaving the way we do.
Right. Right.
The other
It was
thing is
interesting.
that outside piece. Yeah, Lindsay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just I had a client the other day go, I've started to investigate that outside understanding, like pulled in therapy and it got scary for a minute. She's like, I know that anytime you dive into these journeys, it takes like energy and effort initially, and then it's always like it pays off 100% down the road. But it's this moment of like, oh, do I have the like emotional wherewithal to be able to deal with building this understanding?
Mhm.
And I think that's why I just want to highlight this for our listeners today, that if anyone's kind of on that like verge of this is a scary place for me because it's an onion. Once I pull back this layer of understanding, these next ones are coming and they might come hard and they might unravel some stuff that I've been trying to hold a wall up against. And so again, our promise to you with that, like take it at your own pace,
Mhm.
pull in the professional resources that you need to, but it will pay off in spades down the road. It will always be worth it, but it's okay that it's scary. But the important part is taking that next right step.
Yeah, thank you for adding that. And this almost goes back to underutilized resources, right?
Yeah.
Underutilized tools. There are a lot of things outside of us that are amazing tools. And I love that you just added that, Lindsay. Thank you, because it is peeling that onion back. And we all create the outer skin of that onion.
Mhm.
And as soon as you peel it back, it reveals some reality that maybe we were covering up for a reason.
Mhm.
And that's very human and that's okay. The taking that kind of down the line is, think about it. Those real things always will eventually show up. They'll always
Mhm.
eventually be uncovered or discovered, right? Whether you pull them apart or someone else does. And so, there's almost for some people, think of it as there's a control to that. I am going to be the one who does that. I'm not going to let other people peel that away as I go through the rest of my life. I'm going to take charge and control right now and say, I'm going to start stripping these things away because that's going to be seen eventually. I'm going to be in control of that. And so, a lot of different ways to look at it, depending
Mhm.
on where you are in your journey, what your personality is, what your comfort level is, all of those things. And, that's the beauty of being able to use so many different perspectives and listen to different ways of thinking of this stuff because pick what works for you. Think about what do you need? What do you need to do? Just because someone does it one way, you do not ever have to do it that way. And that's amazing. So don't worry what anyone else is doing. Listen and observe what other people are doing, understand what other people are doing, and then go, I'm going to try that on for size. And you're going
Yeah.
to know once you do that for yourself, it either works or it doesn't. If it doesn't, ditch it. It's not for you. Go find the thing that is for you and run with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Do
Good stuff.
No, I'm like, do we want to keep just touching a couple bases? I know we try to stay around 20, but we've got a few
Let's do
more.
it. Let's do
Yeah.
it. You know,
Undermine.
I was gonna say undermine is what I wanna make sure we get in. Undermine another you. It's Lindsay, I'm curious, where does undermine take you?
Oh, I'm throwing it right back your direction because I feel like I'm gonna have better thoughts once we go with yours.
All right, so I'm gonna go the place that I believe personally through my experience, my coaching experience of
Yeah.
17 years and what I've learned from everyone else that I observe, we undermine ourselves constantly.
Yeah.
There is no one else and nothing else that gets in our way and undermines us more than we do. And from a confidence standpoint, we often let that undermining be the thing that holds us somewhere, that we keep looking outward going, I wish I was there. I wish I was there. I wish I could do that. I wish I could be that. And the whole undermining thing, to me, what happens when we undermine ourselves
Mhm.
is things like personal development and self-help, whatever you want to call it, improving yourself doesn't really work well if you're undermining yourself. The reason is because the self that you have in your head and that you're trying to improve is not your real self. You've kind
Interesting.
of created this character in your head and you're trying to improve something that doesn't exist. And so when we start to pull away, if that makes sense, undermining yourself and just stripping stuff away and going, no, no, no. Let's look at what's real, not what you think is real. Let's
Mhm.
look at what's valid, not just what you keep telling yourself in your head, right? What's real? What's valid? Let's work with what's actually there.
Mhm.
Now you can take yourself to amazing places. But if you're undermining yourself in your own head, you're
Yeah.
trying to work with something that's not a real self, if that makes sense.
Oh, makes so much sense, and this is why I'm so glad you went first. Because I think a watch out, I kinda keep just speaking to the audience today with this, is if you are not taking your authentic self into your resources, I'm picturing with your coach or with your therapist, you already said it, Robin, but it doesn't work because you're fixing something that's not your true self. And what I've seen out of clients is that they actually know better than that professional sitting in front of them in some specific instances. Like they've gone through so many years of therapy or so much coaching that they're like outsmarting the coach or the therapist to some degree, and therefore like staying stagnant because they can hear their intuition, their inner voice going, they don't know what they're talking about. This doesn't fit me. But yet they feel like that professional should be right. So they have undermined their own knowledge and power and intuition. And if they'd follow that, and take action on what they really feel, then they would get so much closer than using, you said it with like self-help, but I picture it same thing like with even professional resources. It almost feels like a way to stay stuck accidentally. It's like a buffer zone there.
Yeah, and I love how what you just said and how you said it, Lindsay. How to stay stuck accidentally. And
Mhm.
that's amazing because when you realize, and again, that's why it's to be able to pull out of the weeds and look at a bigger picture. Again, whether you do that yourself, because you're able to do that if you're willing to do that for
Yeah.
real, or if you're talking with a coach, with a counselor of some kind, a therapist, somebody like that. Again, with a friend or somebody who knows you, who's willing to say, look, here's what you do all the time, or here's what's going on, or here's what I notice you do that gets in your way. Someone who's willing to be completely upfront and honest with you, hopefully compassionate as well, but honest, that can pull you out of the weeds until you get there.
Mhm.
You can't, whether it's personal development, professional development, you're not going to move very quickly. You're not going to get very far. Or if you do, you're going to come back and you're going to go ahead and you're going to come back. And that's what, we see all the time as humans. We're creatures of habit. If
Mhm.
I can't get me over here to stay here, I'm going to get stuck back here because I'm always going to return.
Yeah.
And that genuine, authentic place of I need to look at what's really happening, not what I've created in my head as a story around what's happening.
Yeah.
That's how you get unstuck quickly and stay unstuck.
Which is a you.
Unstuck. How did neither of us think of that? Wow. Wow.
I know.
Yeah. So yeah, you know what? unless there's anything else you want to throw in the mix, I think that's a good handful of use
I
there.
think so too. I think the unstuck, just the takeaways, please, as you listen to Robin and I, take some notes, go out with that growth work, that homework of maybe today for you, it's figuring out an underutilized tool. Maybe for you, it's figuring out where you need to under promise so you can over deliver for yourself. So just kind of work your way back through these chats and go, what's my action step? Because that action step is what takes it out of that shelf help, like Robin says, and into true self-help and moving forward. So you can find me on Direction Not Perfection podcast. If you are looking for some extra motivation, Robin, where would you like to send everyone?
I am quite active on LinkedIn. You can follow me there or connect with me if it makes sense to do so. You can also visit my website. Lots of free resources. Please don't underutilize them. Use them, use them, use them for your benefit at robinjsachs.com.
Yes, and thank you. And from my 10-year-old daughter for use, you do you, boo. That's what she always says.
Love it. Love it. All right, Lindsay, actually, we will be back tomorrow and we're going to jump into V. We're doubling up this week because next week, of course, is the holiday. So in the States, it's Thanksgiving. So I will see you again tomorrow and we will tackle V as we move through the alphabet.